Hello, all, and welcome. We are live for the session Building the Secure Data Layer Authenticated Prefilled Salesforce Forms. My name is Josh Straley. I'm going to be a bit of an MC for you today as we go through our content. Speaking of content, let me show you our agenda for today's session. I've got a couple of details of housekeeping I'd love to go through with you. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the challenges that we're going to be discussing today. And that is authenticating and pre-filling Salesforce data experiences. My hope is that if you're in this webinar, this is something that is a part of your job description currently, something that maybe you're seeing some challenges with, something that maybe we can help you with today. You're going to see a live demo of how FormAssembly makes it very easy to build trustworthy authenticated experiences that use a bidirectional sync with Salesforce to provide easy respondent access to data and easy updating of data in your Salesforce CRM. And we will have time for a short Q&A. I think some of you may have seen an hour-long block for this webinar, this series of Salesforce webinars that we're doing this year. We're actually doing them much faster than an hour, so I'm going to be getting you on your way in about a half an hour. So that means I do need to talk fast. If you do have any questions during today's presentation, or you need Josh to slow down, feel free to throw a question into the Q&A box you see on the left-hand side of your screen. One of the questions that I always get is this session recorded? The answer is yes. You will be receiving the link to today's recorded session sometime later tomorrow. Typically takes about 24 hours to get these into your inbox, but you will have access to this recording if you need to go through any of the demo pieces, if you need to catch up with how fast I talk, or if you'd like to share it with a colleague, feel free. That link will be open for you. Speaking of colleagues, I'm joined today by Shakima Franklin, our customer success engineer, who's going to be conducting our demo today. Shakima, hello, and thank you.
Hello, everyone.
And before we get into my little spiel, I do want to ask the audience a quick question. How are you authenticating your forms currently? The questions and answers you see on the screen right now are clickable. If you'll take a moment to click the answer that most meets your organization's situation when it comes to authentication, please click A through F. I think this is the most answers that I've included on a single poll in this webinar platform, so forgive me, it's a bit crowded, but hopefully it covers the gamut. And if I don't have your option on there, feel free to toss a unsure or don't know. I should know better and should have included an other. I'll give the audience a couple more moments to click their option, and then we'll take a look at the results and get a sense of how people are authenticating their forms at their organization today. All right, I'm going to close the poll. And thank you all for submitting your information. Well, this is interesting. Currently, we're seeing a lot of folks that either are using Salesforce or are only using publicly exposed forms. And I think that's probably pretty common. I mean, apparently among our webinar attendees. But if you're looking to break away from either of these situations, either authenticating just with Salesforce or using only unauthenticated forms, you are in the right place. Let's talk a little bit about where we see some gaps when it comes to authentication, specifically with Salesforce data. A lot of Salesforce authentication when it comes to your external audiences, not people that you have logging into your Salesforce CRM, but perhaps to some customers. If you're a nonprofit, perhaps to some volunteers, or even the audiences that you serve. Perhaps if it's a business, it could be a partner community. A lot of that authentication is occurring through experience pages. And as about 44% of our audience noted, you can have publicly available forms on those experience pages for some high volume data collection, but unauthenticated. If you want to authenticate through those experience pages, you do need experience licenses, which come at a cost. So sometimes that can make high volume data collection a bit more prohibitive. I'm looking at the higher ed vertical. When I talk about that, it is difficult to justify spending the money to have all of your students have experience licenses, but you do often want to provide authenticated experiences for them because they're providing sensitive data to you. As this slide says also, there is a risk when you are allowing people to fill out unauthenticated forms, you don't know who's at the other end. So they may be updating Salesforce data that they shouldn't be updating because they share a name or an email address that's very close to another person, possibly a customer or again, a student. And last but not least, a lack of native integration beyond Salesforce's authentication service with other things like CAS, LDAP, or SAML can make building authenticated experiences more difficult with Salesforce. I want to talk about why that's an issue for a moment. Respondent trust in your form experiences, we see as a data quality issue. If someone is unwilling to provide information in a form because that form is asking for sensitive information, perhaps a social security number, perhaps just their address or phone number, and they're unwilling to give it, that means they're unwilling to complete that form. That means your organization is going without the data they need. I've seen a lot of industry surveys, and forgive me, I should have brought some statistics into this slide deck, but I've seen industry surveys that say that there is a meaningful drop in completion rates when a respondent doesn't trust a form that they are seeing. Not only do they need to trust the experience, they need to see reCAPTCHA. The form needs to look like it is not a third-party form. Branding becomes very important for these experiences. A form that is not embedded on your website, but is directly linked to from your website, if it is not branded or styled like the rest of your website, that can throw some warning signs and some red flags for a respondent, again, making them not trust the process and possibly not moving through the data collection workflow that your team is so carefully architected. So if you are a Salesforce builder, a Salesforce admin, perhaps an architect, perhaps a consultant, I know that there are many in the ecosystem, you know that building with Salesforce's form tools can be relatively limiting. Web to lead or web to case offers very limited tools. We're looking at no prefill, no logic, no verification of fields, all requiring developer resources or middleware or API calls in order to build an authentication experience that doesn't use Salesforce SSO and doesn't use Salesforce Forms. You're looking at a band-aided or duct taped together system that is going to result in an unideal experience for your respondents. Non-ideal? Unideal. Non-ideal experience for your respondents. And of course, worse data on the back end for you, especially if those automations end up being fragile. If you're working through multiple systems, we all know the more times you hand off data, the more chances it can break. And worst of all of this could get expensive very quickly if you're using multiple, multiple vendors, multiple services, or if you are engaging your Salesforce admins and architects in building this when they could be spending more time doing something a little bit higher value. So here at FormAssembly, we know Salesforce integration like the back of our hands. It's one of the things that we're really known for. And we make it very easy to also authenticate your form experiences using an IDP of your choice, whether that be CAS, LDAP, SAML, or indeed Salesforce Experience Pages. We make it super easy to authenticate your forms. And then from there, then you can do a lot more with your data. When you have a trusted, authenticated experience, when you know the person on the other end of your form, you can start pre-filling data out of your CRM, which we also make super easy to do, but you can fill in details like sensitive information you may already have on file for them with the confidence that you know who is on the other end, and that respondent can look at your form, see your branding, see your styling, and know that they were just authenticated, so they know that they can confidently give you sensitive information on these forms, increasing that completion rate, and of course, powering your organization's processes with the data that they need. And as we have been discussing for the last year or more, having quality, complete, and consistent data helps with all of the AI, Agentforce, Data Cloud, any AI-powered implementation that you and your team are working through today. So this trustworthy experience that I just described is exactly what you're going to see in today's demo. I'm going to stop talking at you, and I'm going to hand things over to my colleague, Shakima. Shakima, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for putting together this demo. I'd love to put things into your hands and give you the ropes or the controls.
Thank you very much. All righty. Hello, everyone. Today, I will be walking through a live demo of a secure pre-filled work study application for a college student built using FormAssembly and leveraging Salesforce. As a builder, you may want to leverage the Salesforce data you already have while giving your users a secure way to access and update it. However, like Josh mentioned, this might mean having an Experience Cloud portal, maintaining licenses and permissions, and not only does that come with an expense, it could also be cumbersome to manage that, especially as your student base grows. Or it doesn't have to be students, it can be whatever your respondents are. But for this demo, we're pretending we are a university. So what if you already have a trusted system that you, of course, trust and your students trust because they log into it every day? For this example, we're going to use CAS, but that login system doesn't have to be gated by CAS specifically. It can be also mentioned previously, it can be LDAP, it can be SAML. So SAML could be something like Okta or Microsoft, or of course, Salesforce has SAML Shibboleth. The possibilities are obviously endless here. So for now, we are Jane Doe at College University, and we will get logged in so we can access a form. Alrighty, we are logged in. We have the little log out button here. And as you may notice here, Jane's name, their email, their address, and their student ID are already pre-filled into the form. And we also have some other information. We have their degree program, their credit hours completed, and their anticipated graduation date. Before I dive into this form and start filling it out, I wanted to give you a quick peek on the back end just to see how did this data even show up here. So this is the FormAssembly platform, and we have a connector to Salesforce that allows us to have that bi-directional data sync so that we can pull information in from Salesforce and later, as you'll see, push information to Salesforce. So here we have a lookup step, and I'll just expand this so it's a little bit more visible. We are using the email of the user, and we want to find them based on the CAS username that was provided after they logged in. This is the only criteria we're using. You can obviously have like a student ID, gated by role, but for this demo, keeping it super simple. And then these are some of the fields you noticed that were pre-filled: their name, degree program, and all of their address information. So let's get back into the form. So I want to sign up to work in the fall and spring. I am willing to travel, and I have reliable transportation. This next field is another way that you can use and leverage your Salesforce data to keep things standardized. So I have predetermined departments that are coming from Salesforce so that the student can choose those without typing in something incorrect. In this case, we'll say that the library center is my third choice. The activity board is my second. And what would be my first choice? Oh, dining. Let's say I am such a foodie. Availability to work. Well, I have classes, so I can't work every day, but on weekends, I might have all day availability. Monday, I probably only have afternoon classes, and so forth. We'll choose a few random things here. Since this is a work study application, the university may want to know any experience the student has. So here they can provide their experience or upload a resume. We're going to do the provide experience first, and then we'll come back and do the resume option later, but I'll just show you what that looks like. If they check this box, those extra fields go away, just giving them the mental focus on what they need to upload or continue next. But for now, we will fill out this information. We will say we worked at Doggos, we were a walker, and we did this sometime in 2025. Walk the dogs and kept them safe. We can add another experience. We'll say that happened in 2024, also in May. Popular year for employment, I see. And this was kitties. And we were a groomer, which is pretty tough. Cats don't love to be groomed. We clipped nails. We brushed fur, etc. Now, here's a part that's always scary for students or honestly anyone who's trying to fill out a form, which is sensitive information. I usually, when I see social security number on a form, I don't want to fill it out unless like I'm sending it through a PDF, an email, but they've logged in, no one else can see this data. And when they do submit it, it goes straight to Salesforce. It's masked in FormAssembly, so you can trust that it is a one-way data submission, and only the people's eyes who need to see it will be the ones who view it. So for now, we'll just fill this out with some random information. And we have a checkbox. Here we have review and sign. This is obviously just an optional feature, but we're gonna have the student sign off to say that they understand everything that they're submitting. So here they can do a quick review, make sure everything is exactly as they want it to be. And they can make a correction if needed, but we'll just sign as JD. We'll put our name. And we'll be on our way. Just waiting for it to load here. Alrighty, that's all submitted. Let's see what that looks like in Salesforce. So here we have Jane Doe. I'm going to reload just so we can have updated data. This is the social security number field. It is 8895. That's what I typed on the form. I also have it set up in Salesforce so that it's encrypted. We don't have the full data available so that only those who need to see it can. We'll also see what this looks like in FormAssembly. For the application, we'll go to Work Study Applications. This is a custom object we've created just for storing all of the application information together, so it's easy for other departments who need to see it. So we have the student, the semester they chose, all of their availability, the department choices, and the travel accommodations. And then we also have two other related objects that were created at the same time of the submission. The work experiences that they had said that they had, which of course was working at Doggo's and working at the Kitty Place. So we have everything we need that was submitted securely, and everything is standardized. So what we'll do now is we'll see what that looks like in FormAssembly. So we won't review all of this because everyone just watched me fill it out, but I just wanted to show you that we have our data redacted. So we know that the information is completely transmitted and the student doesn't have to worry about it, and your team doesn't have to worry about how many systems have access to data that they shouldn't see. With that out of the way, we will just submit one more time so we can see what it looks like if you want to attach files to the same application. We're still using Jane Doe's information. We will make one change so we can see that we can push data to Salesforce and it will be updated. We'll call this 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're in a different state. We'll just choose a few different options this time. Do this super quick. This time we'll just upload a resume. Oh. We will just use New York. Well, errors do happen, and the respondent is alerted so that they know exactly what to fix when that occurs. Well, while that loads, we'll just move back over to Salesforce so we don't have to stare at a big blank screen while that's loading. We will reload our applications here. Alrighty, here we go. And if we go to related, here we go. Here's Jane Doe's work study application resume. The final thing we'll have a look at is, so we've watched how the student interacts with the form and how the data comes into FormAssembly and how it goes into Salesforce. We'll just have a quick look at how that was set up. So we have another Salesforce connector to transmit data, just like the one we had to pull information in. We have all of the contact information. Here's our work study application piece, the work experience records. So the experience was added multiple times. They've added 2, cats and dogs. So for every piece of experience, we created a record. And here we've uploaded the resume using a file upload step, or the object name is Salesforce's content version. But this is how we got that information. And it's directly linked to the work study application. This helps to streamline the operational processes for your team. You don't have to piece together records. Everything's submitted in one unified packet. Overall, this process helps your team to streamline data collection, students to trust the information they're submitting because they're logging in through a trusted source, and it eliminates the need to build new systems to get clean data into Salesforce, and you can use the systems you already have in place to facilitate the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Shakima. Appreciated. Love that demo. Audience, I do want to remind you that we have a little bit of time for Q&A. I'm going to try to get you on your merry way and back to your digital days, your digital day, by the half-hour mark today. We do have 2 questions in the inbox. I'm going to go ahead and ask those, but if anybody else has questions, feel free to provide them in the Q&A box here. Shakima, I think this question is best for you. Can you let respondents submit even with errors?
Sure, I can take this. The error, it depends on the nature of the error. So that error came from Salesforce. It was a data hygiene issue. Like, we're trying to submit PA, but Salesforce is expecting the full state to be typed out, Pennsylvania. So that's one of the ways we can see that this process ensures that you get the exact standardized data that Salesforce is expecting and your team is expecting. We do have custom validation for fields. So that will be one way to give a user-friendly error for something that's not something Salesforce is enforcing, but you are enforcing directly.
Okay, that makes sense. Great. This one I can take. The question is, any malware prevention for file uploads? Yes, we do have what we call secure file scan that you can use as a feature to alert your team if somebody uploads what may look like a suspicious file. It flags those files. It doesn't prevent upload because we don't want any data loss to happen, but it would let your team know that, hey, this file looks suspicious. And, you know, in the case of this demo, you know, like if you have a high volume and an open form, you know, an authenticated form, I think you'd see less kind of spammy uploads. But if you had a form that was collecting files that perhaps had some spam come through, this would be a way of flagging those malicious files and making sure that your team didn't download and especially execute any malicious files. So that is available with FormAssembly. We have one more question. Elena asks, can forms be embedded into Experience Cloud sites?
They sure can. You can embed them. We have an easy drag and drop form component for Experience Cloud sites. You place it exactly on the pages that you want. You can put a different form on each page. You can have that gated just in the same way as this. You just wouldn't use an external provider, like you wouldn't use CAS or LDAP. That Experience Cloud site itself would be getting the access to the form.
Yes. Fantastic. Thank you, Elena, for that question. It looks like we have exhausted our questions from the audience today. Audience, I do have one more question for you, though, before I let you go. If you liked what you saw, but you have more questions and you'd like a personalized demo, I would be happy to have our team reach out to you. Go ahead and click yes on this poll if you would like me to have the team set up a personalized demo for you. We can walk through embedding forms onto Experience sites for you, or any of the other authentication or pre-filling questions that you may have. I'll give this group just a couple of more seconds. You are, of course, welcome to schedule demos on your own. I just like to make it a little bit easier, and I can have my team reach out to you. If you would like to think about it and take some time on that decision, you can always go to formassembly.com and schedule a demo from there. I'm going to go ahead and close this poll. Thank you, audience, for your answers. If you liked what you saw today, this is only one of the many use cases that FormAssembly has. In general, we allow any organization, especially those using Salesforce, but also organizations that rely on HubSpot as their CRM or any Microsoft components. If you're in the Google Workspace ecosystem, we make it super simple for you to capture clean, consistent data. And as Shakima's demo showed, we break you free of the limits of a lot of the native form providers that you might be working with, whether that be Web2Lead, whether that be Microsoft Forms, whether that be HubSpot's Form Builder or Google's Forms. You'll know that building complex forms, sophisticated forms with as many questions and collecting as much data as Shakima showed today can be difficult with those. FormAssembly makes it super easy to build multi-page, multi-question forms that send data over to your systems of record, be that Salesforce, be that HubSpot, be that Microsoft, be that whatever system that you're using. And what we didn't really dig into today is the conditional logic and the capabilities you have in controlling when data is sent over to those systems, what data is sent over to those systems, or perhaps not just updating multiple objects as you saw today, but sending to multiple platforms from a single form experience, all inside of a secure and compliant environment where you have governance and control. Speaking of governance and control, if you liked today's webinar, and perhaps you're working for an organization that collects not just sensitive data like social security numbers. Perhaps you are working with a healthcare organization, or perhaps you're collecting protected health information, but you're in a field that doesn't normally do that, and you're wondering how to handle sensitive data collection. I have one more webinar in our Salesforce series slated for next month, where we're going to dig into that. You'll see, again, a hands-on demonstration of how we architect sensitive data collection systems. We're going to use a pretty common use case. We'll probably do something like patient intake. But again, if you're looking to understand how to handle sensitive data at your organization, we'll show how you can architect those systems. And we'll also show off some capabilities of our platform when it comes to audit controls, sensitive data masking, making sure you understand who has access to sensitive data in your account. All of that in a quick demo like you saw today. If you're interested in joining that webinar, you can use the resource center to the right of your screen to register for that today. You can also read some of our help articles. If you saw what Shakima was doing today and you're like, how do I do that? I want to know more. I've linked our help documentation on authenticating users when they log into your forms. Feel free to hop over to help.formassembly.com from that link, or navigate there yourself. We have great documentation on all of our products' capabilities there. I do want to take one more moment just to thank Shakima again. Shakima, thank you so much for your time today building our demo. And audience, thank you for attending. We don't put these on for just ourselves. We put them on for you. You'll see a quick questionnaire as you exit the platform today. Let us know how we did. Let us know how we can make our webinars better. Shakima, thanks again. I'll give you a chance to say goodbye.
Thank you as well. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.